Hello, and welcome to another episode of JRPG. Today I decided to start the main meat and potatoes of this channel, and it will be about game collecting tips, tricks, and secrets you may not know and others may not want you to know. This segment will be covered in two parts. One about adding quality games to add value to your collection, and two, to add quantity games that will pad your collection. These videos will be solely about game collecting, and I will make a video in the future about console collecting. So without further ado, let's get started. Quality games can be obtained pretty easily, but tend to cost more. Quality games tend to be rare or popular games. Games like Metroid Fusion, Pokemon, and Marvel vs. Capcom. Games like these are still played today and tend to be greatly sought after. Games like these can be obtained in a few ways, but you really have to focus your attention, not to mention your wallet, on getting these good quality games. Quality games are going to be games that you will probably end up paying more for, but sometimes you can get lucky and pick up a game that is worth a lot for cheap. This tends to not always be the case. About 99% of the time it's not the case. I've actually had a few run-ins where I've gotten a few games that were very expensive, very cheap. I got this Marvel vs. Capcom game at Trader's Village. It's a flea market in Houston. They have one in Dallas also. I'm from Houston. And it's practically brand new. I mean, it has the stickers from when they would have the label on here. It's still on here. The book is still in here. The game is still in here. The game's in great condition. And this is anywhere worth $35 to upwards of $70. I also got Mario Kart Wii at a Goodwill one time. At that time, I was actually going to write that trip off as a bust because I couldn't find anything. And I was with my girlfriend, and she actually found it, and she pointed it out, and she was like, "Hey, check it out." And so I had looked it up on Amazon. This was only 10 bucks, and it's worth about 50. Brand new. It's still sealed. You can see the clear stickers. You can hear it in there too. So sometimes you can find games cheap, but it's not always the case. As I mentioned before, games like these are going to be worth more, so you're going to be shelling out more for them. Good places to find these games are typically the places that you would imagine: Amazon, eBay, Craigslist. One website you may not know about is Shop Goodwill. Shop Goodwill is an excellent place to look for quality games. It is an auction website run by Goodwill. They take things that are valuable that people donate, like retro games, but also other collectibles as well. So if you're into that kind of thing, they have coins and jewelry and all sorts of things. But they sell them online in online auctions to make more money than they would if they sold them in the store. And like my Mario Kart Wii and some other people's games that they picked up in Goodwill, it doesn't usually happen. Those are the games that fall through the cracks. But Shop Goodwill tends to have the majority of games that Goodwill does sell that are valuable, and they sell them online to make them more money to pay for the employees and such. On this website you can find good second-hand things, and I've bought several games from there, but unlike eBay, there are no refunds for any purchases that are done, so this is a big buyer's beware that anything that you do bid on, you're not going to be getting money back for if it's broken or anything like that. That being said, on this site you can also get a lot of lots, which are cheaper than if you were to buy the game separately. Kind of like eBay in that regard as well. Really, it's up to you. I've bought several items off of Shop Goodwill before and only received one out of many items that I have bought. So, in my personal experience, those are the chances of you actually getting something that isn't good quality, but it's up to you ultimately. Pawn shops are also good places to check. Most pawn shops nowadays tend to only stock games that are more recent, but if you check the ones in your area, you'll probably find some that sell games earlier than the 7th generation. Consequently, pawn shops also tend to have their prices marked at about right prices if they're a good pawn shop, but a lot also tend to overprice their games. So you just really need to know how much is too much when you're looking at pawn shops, and also when you're looking at flea markets and online, etc. and so on Shop Goodwill, eBay, etc. Just don't be expecting any good deals to be really happening at a pawn shop. It's very rare, but like I picked up Mario Paint with the mouse and the mouse pad for $15, which is about right. So, if it's a good pawn shop, they'll have the prices about right. Local game stores like GameStop, Games Plus, etc. will tend to have those quality games that you're looking for, but they're going to be at about the right price, about what they're worth, or it'll be the new retail price. So, you won't really be catching much of a break from those, but it's like I said before, you'll be shelling out more for these good, quality, worthwhile titles. On the flip side, one tip that is very valuable is this. Best Buy sometimes has random obscure games that some places like GameStop don't stock those games. And I don't typically see some of the games that they have at GameStop or any other game stores. Some of these games may have gotten small runs, and so they might eventually become valuable. It's a gamble sometimes, so you really gotta look and make sure that you're not buying shovelware, but at times you can catch a break. In my next episode, I'll mention an instance of this where I got Steel Diver for $2 at Best Buy. Another great avenue to find solid titles are local communities. I'm a part of a local community on Facebook, from which I bought a Sega Genesis on once. If there isn't a local community in your area, make one, and invite people that may be interested, and try to build a community to where you can work with your neighbors to help build up your collections. You can also try using apps like OfferUp, Wallapop, and Let Go. These are apps where people can sell things to each other based on your phone's GPS. And there are some good games on there that I've seen go for normal, if not below normal prices, so you can kind of catch a break if you're quick. People are usually quick on the draw when they're buying games on these apps, so you really gotta check in on it and make sure. But if you pay about what the game's worth, if you bought Pokemon for $30, $35, you can get one pretty easily. And I've seen this frequently on these apps. Well guys, that about wraps it up for my episode on tips for collecting quality games. I hope you learned a thing or two, and just remember that a lot of this is subject to location. So there might be a few tips that I missed, but also a lot of it may be only tailored to your location. So you really got to get out there and see what you can do in your area, see what works for you, take my tips and try them all out, see what works, what doesn't. Not everything will work. And who knows what tools you may find to make your collection more valuable. I'm Jay from JRPG. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next video.